fast junior middleweights, welterweights, lightweights, featherweights, bantamweights, whatever. They're not like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a big difference when it comes to heavyweights and smaller guys when it comes to that. But Ali was able to figure out in a real short period in that short window how to beat you. And these guys, Pacquiao and Mayweather and these guys, certainly they have a strategy before the fight. They're gonna have this. They got this strategy. When press guys ask him, "What do you think?" You saw him with Mosley. You saw this guy with Cotto. You saw this guy with Margarita. What do you think? What's your path? What are you thinking? How are you thinking you're gonna fight this guy, and do what you need to do to win this fight? And they will tell you, "Well, I watched him with someone. I really didn't watch the fight." And a lot of guys will lie and say, "Well, I didn't see that fight," or "Yeah, I did see the fight, but I really didn't pay a whole lot of attention to what they were really doing," or this, that, and the other. But really, the reason why you're watching the fight is to see what you can pick up, to see what's going to be good for you. That's the real truth, right?
Right.
But this particular fight, since we spoke the last time, if you remember, we spoke the last time about Pacquiao and Bradley. Some things have happened in the course of this thing, and this is from the press conference that just took place yesterday. And I found out that there's been distractions with Pacquiao. There's been distractions, and you always hear about a guy before the fight, and he had a problem with his girlfriend or his wife or the manager or what have you. His brothers and sisters, or somebody died and something happened, and there's distractions. And how does the guy overcome these distractions and move forward when he's got a fight in 2 days? Well, it's not as simple as a lot of people think it is. And even the last fight with Shane Mosley, from what I'm being told, there was distractions in Pacquiao's camp in that fight. Well, he didn't look that super against Mosley when you stop and think about it. He didn't really look that simple against Mosley. I think he beat him soundly, but he didn't look so simple. It didn't look so overwhelmingly that he won this fight like walking away. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And he did, but he didn't. Let's put it that way. That's what brings us back to this situation with with Bradley with me. And I said this, what's it been, a few weeks ago that we met up?
Yeah, about 2-3 weeks ago, I think. 3 weeks.
2-3 weeks ago, something like that. But what brings me back to that same conversation that we had 3 or 4 weeks ago, even more so now, when I hear that there's distractions, and I didn't know that at the time, then I felt that Bradley could win this fight. The only thing that comes anywhere close to making me see that Bradley can't win this fight is the big stage. If Bradley can conquer this big stage by the time he walks out of that locker room, I think he can win this fight. And that big stage is a dramatized situation with a lot of athletes, not just fighters, but athletes in all. LeBron James. Right. I think LeBron James has serious issues with that big stage. I really do. I see that. So I'm saying that to say that it's not just a fighter that has that problem with a big stage now. The good part for Pacquiao is he's the big stage. You understand? That's the one good thing. Same thing with Mayweather. Mayweather's the big stage. And so that guy has got to conquer that big stage issue himself, that other guy. You follow me? Mm-hmm. Now, because it's that type of environment, I think because of the way Bradley gets off and gets going in this fight right here, if he could get going at a fast pace, he could have this guy stuck 3 or 4 rounds before you blink. And that coming from behind for Pacquiao with a guy that's very feisty and fast as Bradley is, I think is going to be a real problem for him to overcome. I really do. With the issues that he may have or may not have with this controversy or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, in the camp, with that, and trying to deal with this guy who is this what do I want to say to him? This Bradley, who's got this unique way of being able to do things to offset good fighters, as I said to you one time before. He's got this unique way of being able to offset you with throwing a good crisp jab, short uppercuts on the inside. He does real good technical work when he does it. And if he sticks to those types of things, it's the small things in boxing that win these big fights. It's not the big things, the big overhand right or the big left hook. It's not that. It's the small little things that you do on the inside, the right uppercuts, the left hooks, the roll on the other side, to get to the outside of his right foot, things like that. When you're a southpaw and you're fighting another southpaw, those kind of things come into play. And if you're not doing what you're supposed to do, you're going to get hit with unnecessary shots that you shouldn't be getting hit with. And that's what makes me think that Paquiao, because of distractions, he can't keep up with the sequence of punches that are being thrown at him because he's got the distraction going on. And that's where fighters have this real problem with. And a lot of people that are sitting on the outside watching this fight from the stands or from television, they're not understanding why this guy's getting hit with these different punches. Mayweather found that out the last fight that he was in, because he got hit more in that fight than he has done in any other fight he's ever had, that Floyd had. You know? And the reason for that sometimes, maybe, just maybe, he was thinking about this problem that he had with regards to going to jail. You understand? So those little things play a real role in when you're close that off. When you're thinking about things that you shouldn't be thinking about in the corner. And it's weird. It's a weird thing. Things pop up in your mind. And I went through that as a fighter myself. The wildest things come to your mind when you're in the, either not so much in the middle of the fight, but when you come and sit down or walking back to the middle of the ring and getting ready to pursue the next round. And people say, what do you mean? How do you think like that? Listen, the wildest things. I can tell you one time I was fighting this guy, and the fight was a very close fight. And the minute I got up, I'll never forget, it was like the fourth round of the fight, and I got up to walk to the middle of the ring, the referee, and the guy had to turn around and go back to get his mouthpiece. In that split of a second there, I can remember in my brain, I remember my brother or one of my brothers or my cousin kicking a football to me. Weirdest thing in the world happened. I'm serious. It was the weirdest thing in the world. I'm like, what? And I'm thinking, boom, the bell rung, and boom, now, you know, I dislodged it, right?
Yeah.
But it's a weird thing it's a weird thing that comes into your mind. Weird things come in your brain in these little short windows. You never know. And when you're having problems, especially guys that are having problems with their wife or their girlfriends, that's really a real headache right there, because that thing can linger with you for a couple of rounds. And I've been told that before as well.
Okay, so I got one more question regarding Paquiao and Bradley. So you saying Bradley has a good chance, but if it goes to the decision, do you think Bradley could win a decision against Paquiao in Las Vegas with Arum in Pacquiao's corner and all that stuff? Do you think he could win a decision?
You know, sometimes things are blatant. If it's blatant, he's got a shot at winning, if it's blatant. If it's close and it can go either way, I don't think he's got a chance in hell of winning the fight. If it's that close, he can't win here.
So he has to make it obvious, huh?
It's got to be so blatant that you can't give it to Paquiao. It's got to be that way. Now, bear in mind, this kid's got enough. He's got the tools to set himself apart from Paquiao in winning these 4 or 5 rounds in a quick flash, and getting this guy stuck rounds where he can't, he's going to need to get a knockout. And when a guy like Pacquiao's got to get a knockout, now he starts to reach. he's starting to reach at this guy, and he can't hit the guy with the shots he wants to hit, and that's when the whole thing comes tumbling down, and he can get him, and then he can find himself in real trouble.
So, if you were to pick, are you picking Bradley to win the fight? If you had to just make a decision, either Pacquiao or Bradley?
Right now, I pick Bradley to win the fight.
Oh, okay.
I'm going with the underdog.
Okay. A decision or a knockout?
I'm going to go with a decision.
Okay. All right.
But it's going to be a blatant decision. It's got to be a blatant decision. It's going to be one of those that you had no choice. The officials had no choice but to give it to him.
Okay. Cool.